Good morning and welcome to Presence of Light with Charlie Riverman Bergeron. My morning has been one of interesting energy, and so I'm looking forward to see how the flow of my talk will be. Welcome you all. I didn't have time to post anything on Facebook to announce it, but by now most people who listen to me know when I'm on and will look for Humanity Healing to go live. And if not, they will catch it later. And this is the gift of technology, is that we can speak now and we can hear and see each other later. It's sometimes a challenge for us to get used to that. However, it's important right now, as many of us need that connection of communication. So I see some of you arriving, Tuan and Jaden, welcome. And it's a beautiful sunny day here on the west coast, southwest coast of Maine in the USA. Lisa, bless you, good to see you. So today's talk is about change, trust, and energy. And the reason for that topic is really those were the first three words that caught my attention this morning as I was having my morning coffee. And on my desk, I have a list of, it's about change, and I don't know who wrote it, and it's about 15 items about how you can achieve change in your life and simple things to do, to follow. And I'm probably only on maybe number 3. So this is where we are. We're in this world of change, and it's changing faster than we can feel comfortable in, many of us. Many of us are challenged, I will use the word challenged, with the rapid frequency of change. And the second word is trust. And who do we trust in this point of our changes? Everybody else is going through changes, and so they're not as balanced as they would normally be. We're all going through this. So it's hard to discern, who do I trust? What do I trust? Everything that I trusted and thought was real or thought that was beneficial is not looking so well right now, or it's failing my expectations. This is, an important part of our evolution. And we've done this before as the human species, as the species of being we call human, which is spirit and light and water and energy in these physical forms. We've done this before. We don't remember it consciously, but the body remembers it. And the body right now is being going through the stressful process because it's in the physical body memory. And what that does is then supercharges these two halves of our brain into fight or flight, protection, and all of those equations that are questioning reality, what's real, what's not real, and creating that energy of not being able to trust. Here's where the word energy came in. It's all about energy. It's all about energy, but not in energy in ways that we think of energy in the human world, such as our electricity or, solar energy or energy from fossil fuels. That's an energy that we've co-created in order to achieve a more comfortable way of surviving here as these physical bodies. I mean, if you look at us, we're really not adapted to the weather. At one point, we must have had fur, or we wouldn't be here. We would have frozen to death. I mean, I'm just saying that, jokingly. I'm not saying it as any scientific fact, but I often question a lot of that. I also question a lot of our ancestral stories that we've been told by what we would call common education, a collective agreement of people over thousands of years. And what's happening right now, we're seeing a lot of that falling apart. It's not sticking together. It's not making sense. Why is it not making sense? It's not making sense because they were based on stories. They were based on stories that allowed people to come together in groups and be managed more easily as a collective group. This is what we're going through right now, is a realigning of all of what we call the governments, the individual countries, the individual ruling societies, trying to figure out how do we come back into balance because we're out of balance. Now, I'm sure it doesn't look very positive for most of us. And that's what's causing all of the anxiety. This is what's causing the illness. This is what's causing the energetic disturbance within us. And so I want you to all realize that what you're feeling and what you're going through on probably most levels is a normal response to what's going on in the energetic fields around you. Over the past few years, we've seen a lot of shifting and changing. We've seen a lot of things that have begin to look like a good idea, but then slowly evaporate into a form of destruction or a form of control. As these beautiful divine beings that we are, we were never meant to really be what you would say, what we would call controlled. We have a sovereign part of ourselves that if we let go of what we engage with and come back into our heart space, we will realign with that higher self, that higher being of energy that we are. And it's not impossible. A lot of people, I can't do it. I can't do this. That's crazy. This is, I can't calm down. I can't recenter. I can't. Well, the minute we say that, we put a wall in front of us. We put a wall in front of us. That little note that I have on my wall, it's about change, how to make change within yourself and for yourself. I can look at that. Well, I can't do that. Well, that's a good idea. However, in reality, it's just not going to happen. What do I do when I do that? What we all do is we stop. End of quest. We stop right there. It's like a big fence that says, do not enter. We have to climb over those fences. We have to move around them, find ways to look and say, my journey to my highest self is only blocked by my own messages. This is not in my show notes, so I'm wondering where I'm going with this. But it's in all essence what we have come to is that what we are experiencing right now as a collective world is a frequency. It's an energetic frequency. And it's an energetic frequency that's being generated not outside of us, but within us. That's the real problem. The energies that are being generated outside of us have their own distortion and have their own purpose and design, whatever. But it's how we're reacting to them. I'm feeling powerless over those external energies. It is really critically bringing us into imbalance. And when we look at the world, we see the imbalance. We may say, oh, well, there's a balance, there's yin and yang and there is balance. But what we're seeing is while that's still in place, there's an abundance of shifting large amounts of energy one way or another. That motion, like an ocean swaying from one side of the Atlantic Ocean and then all the way to the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. That's how big this energy that's moving. So when we wonder, why am I feeling disturbed? Why do I feel seasick? Why do I feel out of place? Irregardless of what's playing out in the field of humanity, of what we're doing, what we're thinking, how we're gathering together, the thoughts we're seeding in each other's minds. We have this larger field of energy. And that's part of the evolution of planet Earth. So right now we're in a time where not only are we evolving as a species on a species of life, Mother Earth is evolving as well. And so too, as we take that evolutionary process out into the stars, so too the stars are aligning differently and they're evolving, if you will. So what I want to impress on everybody today is that we are part of a greater whole, a greater process in which change and trust and energy are coming together, and it's very uncomfortable. So we have the global pandemic. We have all of this political scenario. And it's not just here in the United States, it's around the world. The United States may be a focal point right now, but it's been a focal point in other places. This is nothing new, it's just the energy has shifted here. And what it really is, what I was guided to come through me this morning to, realign me, was that what's happening is a recalibration of what we would call divine frequency. It's a recalibration of divine frequency. And then we, as humans, would call it the shifting of the ages, where the ages, all of the ages of humanity and planet Earth continually shift. But we don't see it because we only live in this one tiny little segment of that shifting frequency. The age of Aquarius, when we think of the shifting of the ages, we're entering into the age of Aquarius. Well, this is the grander scale, the grander clock, if you will, the greater calculation of evolution. We look back on Mother Earth. Mother Earth at one point was all water. There was no land. Anything that lived on planet Earth had to be able to live in water. We are now beginning to realize that we are water beings. The molecular content of our body is more water than physical, flesh and bone. It's on a molecular level. It's how it's all coming together. What we're looking at is that the planet is more water. We're coming into an understanding of how precious water is. And I won't dive into that, although I may, because this is a year of water, that many of us need to think more about the water right in our own local faucets, if we have them, or our local wells, our local ponds where we may gather water. How are we treating that? How are we respecting that? Because how we treat and respect that is how we're treating and respecting ourselves. There is no separation. If the water becomes all poisoned, we are all poisoned. I'm not saying this to be a downer. I'm just looking at this is the time of evolution. This is the time of awakening. This is the time of the shifting of the ages, of tapping into the divine frequency, if you will, of who and what we are as planet Earth, a whole planetary system, among other planetary systems that I'm sure have their own problems. We can't understand what that process is for them or who they are. So here we are, beautiful soul family from Germany, from around the world. Oh, bless you all. Thank you for your presence, and thank you for being here now at this time. Because those of us who are listening to others, even when we say that person sounds crazy, the key is to keep ourselves open to listening, to keep listening and looking for the guidance that will lead us to that place of trust within ourselves. And when we can come to that place of trusting ourselves, what happens invariably is that all of these things that happen out of sequence or out of proportional, goodness, we see them as negative. We realize that we're not powerless over them. They all will affect us in some way, shape, or manner. We can't say, well, I'm not going to be sad if somebody in my family dies of the virus. It doesn't protect us from everyday interaction with each other and that emotional charge we get from each other. But what it does is it lifts us up to what the card that I pulled was, to the celestial mountain. It's a Kuan Yin card. And I just said, well, I'm somewhere in this thought process this morning. Who am I going to call on? So I call on Kuan Yin. And just before that, the message that I have written in my notes is, where are we headed? And it brought me back to the 60s. Last night, somebody sang a song from the 60s about love. And it brought me back to a place where I remember when we were fighting against the war in Vietnam here in the United States, that we lived in a country that could draft us at 18 years old and go kill somebody in a foreign land, but it was a crime to have a drink of beer. That was you can't drink, but you can go kill somebody. And I remember that thought from being 18, 17, 16, whatever I was at the time. I said, this is insanity. You're going to tell me that I can go to war and kill somebody? That's okay. But but if I get caught drinking beer, I'm in trouble. I looked at that at that early age in my life. So I've always been one who thought differently. And I know that many of you that I'm talking to all are those people, because we're still here. We're still here, and we're still listening, and we're still seeking. We're still looking for the values in life that we know that we have inside us, but they haven't been triggered. They've actually been stuffed down within us. And so the songs came up was The Eve of Destruction. I forget his name, Barry something. We sang about, is this the time we're going through again, the eve of destruction? And then the other one that came through was, I was thinking Three Dog Night, The Road to Shambhala. Or is it the revelation? Is it the song of death and destruction that we're singing now? Or is it the invitation of revelation coming? And what is that revelation that we saw in the 60s that we were looking for? And what is the revelation today? I want you to think back to your whole life. Whatever age you are, the messages have always been there. And they called you. They're messages that called you specifically. Go back into that younger mind. And if you are younger minds, if you are the children who are here now that are listening to this talk, know that we as elders are here to help you. We're not here to tell you what to do, because each of you of the younger generations have a completely different code system in your genes have shifted and changed, and they do it gradually, and then boom, there's a whole turning of that genetic frequency. It's happening now. Children being born now are completely genetically, not completely genetically, but they are genetically different. And it's up to us to help them, make the way easy for them to rise into their fullness. It's not all about us. So those were the two songs that came through. Are we collapsing, or are we expanding? So the Kuan Yin Oracle card, I'm almost done already with my talk, and I got more to go, is really, I'll read the message to you. There are times when divine energy is needed to help us achieve our spiritual goals. When you do not feel completely in control of your destiny, when you do not feel completely in control of your destiny, the divine is usually gifting you with an opportunity to reach for assistance and invoke the divine power to call the celestial mountain so that you may be gifted with a far superior outcome. Your permission to beings that love you unconditionally to offer you help is an expression of spiritual empowerment. You empower those forces to come to your aid. I'll read that again. You empower those forces to come to your aid and help you manifest your life purpose and destiny. This is what we've forgotten. That was written by Alana Fairchild. This is what we have forgotten, is the true power that we are. We've forgotten the power we are. We've forgotten the grace that we are. What we've done is we relied on everybody outside of us to manage us. It was the way. There was no harm in that way for many, many, many years. Until some people decided they had a better idea for all of humanity. And that's where things get a little distorted. Why is your idea of what's best for humanity and planet Earth more powerful than those who created, co-created planet Earth and humanity? However you look at that through your religious teachings, they're all basically saying the same thing. We, as these physical beings, did not create ourselves. We came from a source. However you want to write the story about that source, make it beautiful. Make it wondrous, because that's what it truly is. It's light and it's water. We didn't get here. We don't exist without water. And we come from light. The beam of light that is there. No sun, no earth. No star, no earth. This is basics. This is getting back to basics. So Kuan Yin card was to go to the celestial mountain. It's like the mountains. Again, I've been talking about mountains for weeks now. It's like those mountains behind me. And become the water at the top, the frozen ice, the crystalline beings that you are. Gather at the highest point you can acknowledge within your teachings, within your own inner wisdom. And from that point, be one with creation, what you understand as creation. Come back into that energy field of creation. Because what we see now is this energy of arguing, bickering, I know, you don't know, I do know, blah, blah, blah. I'm getting to that point in my talk, blah, blah, blah. And I don't mean to bore you. I want for you each to find that celestial mountain within you. Seek to climb that. If that's the only change you do, is find that celestial mountain within you and make it your mission to climb to the top. And when you get to the top, like the guru, sit at the top of the mountain and ask, what do I need to carry back down to to the lowlands. And in that moment, once you have achieved that sense of purpose, allow yourself to melt like the snow and trickle down the mountain into the streams and the ponds, making your way back to the ocean so that others may come and sit by you, that others can drink you in the most magnificent way. And that's my message is, can we come back? Can we come back to the moment of understanding that we're not separate? We are one ocean. We are one pond, one puddle, whatever that is. We are tiny molecules all together. And when we come together in our thoughts and our actions, and those thoughts and actions are wrapped around an idea of what is most beneficial, not only for us, but for the environment around us. The environment we live in, that's home. These boxes we live in, what do we do for all of that? And you look how many people in the world, that is the most unstable part of their life. Other than food and water, they don't have a place to live, a place to call home. So, don't mean to be preaching, just setting thought patterns, energy, triggering energy in each of us to look deeper within ourselves and ask, okay, I'm here. What can I do? The first thing is I need to change. I need to change. Change is the key. How do I change? I find something to trust. Not so much a person, but what am I trusting in? I need to trust in that greater wisdom, that greater frequency of knowledge that knows everything, the all-seeing being. Whatever you choose, you are creative beings. You have created, we have created all of this. But there's a price we are now paying for this, because we created it without being unified with the forces of creation. So I encourage you all to find those forces, and you'll find them at the water. Very simple. Just go sit by the water. Go find a place in your neighborhood or your close by where you live. And there will be a place that will call to you. And go there. Go there regularly and sit. Meditate if you don't know how or you have struggled meditating. Just sit there in stillness. Sit there in stillness and absorb what that environment has to offer you. And remember that that environment is gifting you. It's gifting you with the energy. That energy connection that connects from the center point of Mother Earth to the center point of our galaxy, to the center point, to the center point, to the center point, beyond our human capability of awareness. This is basically where we need to go, what we need to do during these times of pandemic, power shifts, socioeconomic power shifts, planetary physical shifts, and seek the wisdom that we need from our masters and teachers, our angels, nature, the nature beings, as well as our ancestors. Our ancestors whose lives were just as involved as ours, but much simpler in their connection to speak through the galaxies, through their hearts, and not their minds, was much easier because they didn't have this field of interference that we live in now. So we're not on the eve of destruction. And revelation is not something to fear. It's about discovering who you are, where you are, and what that relationship is to everything around you. Those are my words that have come through with a whole bunch of others that are in my show notes that I didn't get to, but align with this whole thought process and is designed to convey to those who do stumble upon or intentionally seek to be with me on Friday mornings. Get to the sea, be with the water, know that the water, this will be my talk probably all year long as a water guardian. Part of my journey is to pray for the water, to pray to the water, to shift the energy of the water, because we're all water. We're all water. Love the water. I love you. This is my blessing to the water. It's really simple. Because when I say this blessing in closing, I'm saying it to the water in you, the water that you are. It's not a show. I don't do a show. I just come here and talk. Whether one person hears me or 10 million is irrelevant to me. Humanity healing is giving me this little place, this one little moment to share what comes through me from my death experience, my returning to life after death. And I don't say that because it's, super cool. It's a reality for many. The question is, what do you do with that? And I'm guided to offer it, to put it out here for each of you to dive into and discern for yourself. What is your purpose? What do you need to align with most in your life? That's not anybody else's job but yours. So this blessing is really simple. It's based on the teachings of Dr. Masaru Emoto. And it has to do with changing crystalline structure of water. And when I say this, I say it to change the crystalline structure or to assist the crystalline structure in you to change. It's real simple. I love you. I thank you. I respect you. Those prayers are aligned with these three chakras, coming down through the crown. I'll say it again. I love you. I thank you. I respect you. I am you. The power of the I am presence. I am you. You are me. We are unity. We are that circle of light that shines forth from that point of light. Let us shine together. Let us brighten the world. Let us see and feel and hear each other coming together in the water. One big splash of joy, of laughter and beneficence. If there's any change that we need to make, it isn't out there. It's right in here. And when we change in here, the outside will flip like a coin in the air. Bless you all. Thank you for being with me on Friday morning. Hope something of what I have said embraces you, fills you with hope, changes and shifts your outlook. It's not so dark out there. It's not so dark out there when we're the light right here. Bless you all. Have a wonderful week. I will read all your beautiful messages in the sideline. And thank you for your patience, your tolerance, your ability to open your hearts. Thank you for that silence. We'll see you next week, and hopefully I'll arrive on time and I'll have all my stuff together. I went to find all my stuff on my computer and it was somewhere else. Magic. So, what were the key words today? Change, trust, and energy. You gotta love them. Be all that you are. I love you.